Daniel here for Tabletop for One. Please join me at the table as I teach and play through Mind Your Business. And I thank you for joining me for this tutorial and solo playthrough of Mind Your Business, designed by Art Casey and published by Envy Born Games. And they've provided me with this review copy to provide you with a tutorial solo playthrough video. Now, one thing I want to mention before I start, Envy Board Games has a Kickstarter starting soon. I will have a link in my description to that Kickstarter page. It's for some different games. And they said that if you like this game, you're also going to like what they offer in the Kickstarter. And one of the games that looks really good is called Defrag. Now, I didn't get a preview copy of it, but I am going to be tempted to back that. Nevertheless, we will go on to Mind Your Business here. And this is kind of like a puzzle exploration kind of game, where you're going to be trying to gather different resources from this mine, where you're mining gemstones and gold and other things, and you're trying to gather them to your mine cart before the mine cart leaves the mine. And there's 3 scenario modes total. We'll be playing the first scenario in this playthrough, but the other 2 scenarios add different hurdles, such as a goblin that's trying to gobble you up. And then the third scenario has a goblin and the owner of the mine, and the owner of the mine is trying to catch you and get his resources back. All right, so let's go ahead and go into setup here. Now, first you want to shuffle up the deck here of the mine cards, and these can be rotated. And in fact, it's best to initially shuffle this up in kind of a haphazard way so that they get rotated. And then you're going to deal out 16 cards in a 4x4 square, and you always deal left to right, top to bottom. So we'll start here, and then you'll set the deck of mine cards aside here. You'll need some more. Then you'll take your mine cart, your player aid, and your gnome here. You'll place your player aid in the top left corner here, your mine cart here, and then your gnome goes in the card that's adjacent to your mine cart, so he'll go right here. You'll also shuffle and randomly draw 3 of these event cards, and we'll place them in the corners here, the other 3 corners. And then you also get your 3 special actions. These are one-time use actions that you'll have for the entire game, and you get to use them once, flip them over when you use them, and you'll no longer be able to use them. These cards here would be used to control the goblin and the owner of the mine if you're using those for those scenarios. These just give the actions that they do. So these we won't need for this particular scenario, so they go back in the box. And we also don't need the other special actions for the 2-player, the other mine cart, the player aids for the 2-player, or the other gnome and the goblin token. All right, so in scenario 1, we've been given access to the mine, and our goal is to retrieve as many resources as possible, but in order to actually win the scenario, we have to collect a total of 30, and it's 30 cards that we have to collect off the board. And the way that we do that is we do the actions every turn. We get 3 actions that we can do. We can do up to 3. We don't have to do all 3 if we don't want to, but the 3 actions that we take can be the same or different ones of the following actions that we have. They're listed here on the player aid, and we have move your gnome. And so when you move your gnome, you're going to move orthogonally adjacent. So each movement is 1 action. Then the next one here is rotate your mine card. So the card that you're on, you can rotate it to any position you want. And then the next one is swap your mine card. So you can swap your mine card with an orthogonally adjacent card, but your gnome rides it. So let's say I swapped this one with this one. The gnome would ride along, and this one would go here. You don't rotate it when you do that. And then your 4th action that you can take is load your cart. And so when you load your cart, you can take this action. It doesn't matter where you are on the board. What matters is what's connected to your cart. And you need to have resources connected to your cart. So in this case right now, you'll see that I have no resources on the side that's adjacent to the cart. Now, if I rotated this card here, then this gold resource is now connected to my cart. And so if I took the load action, I would take this card, add it to my cart. You can put it underneath your cart or just set it aside. I just set it aside. And this will be scored at the end of the game. Again, you need 30 of these cards to win. And then the last action you can do is swap or rotate a campfire. And now this is an interesting one because you don't actually have to occupy the space. You can do it as though your gnome was already there. And so the campfire ones are these ones here that show a big old fire in the middle of the card. So there's only one of them here. And so this one right here can do the swap or the rotate. And so it works the same way. So I could just rotate it any way I wanted to, or I could swap it with an adjacent card, in this case here, swapping it with this one and placing it this way. Now you can see I've actually created a whole pathway of gold materials here that I can gain into my minecart when my minecart is in this space. But we'll go over the minecart movement in just a moment. So that is an excellent option that you can take when you have the campfires on the board. The campfires are very helpful that way. Again, you don't have to be in that space, so my gnome can be anywhere else on the board, and I can activate that. And then the last one here is reveal a face down mine card, and that's going to happen in the later scenarios. When cards get flipped upside down, you're going to have to go back and reveal them. All right, so once you've done your actions, then you read the sign of the card that your gnome is on, if there is a sign. So you'll see there are various signs here on the different cards, and they do different things. So this one here says jump to a camp or a corner. So if I was at the end of my turn and my gnome was here, I would read that sign and then do it. So let's say he did that, and then I decided to jump over here. Well, there's another sign here. So guess what? I get to read that one as well. You're allowed to have these combos. Now this one says load your cart. So you can load your cart for a free action here if your card is connected to resources. And in this particular case here, it actually says, if you can read it here, it says that one of the resources can be wild. So that can extend how many resources you pull off of that one card. There's other signs that have you rotate, and there's also ones that have you do swap to adjacent. So you can get some free actions if you end your turn on one of those signs. It can be very helpful. And then after you've read the sign, you move your cart. So the cart moves automatically one space clockwise. And then after that, you refill the mine of any empty spaces. So if you've collected any cards, now those spaces get filled. And that brings up a point. If your gnome is on an empty space and you want to swap cards or move onto empty spaces, you can do so. So if this space was empty here and I wanted to use the campfire swap action, I could actually slide it here as if it's swapping with that empty space. So that's an option you have. And then after you refill the mine, you would draw and resolve a goblin card if you were doing that scenario. We will not be doing that here. And so once you've done those, then you'll start a new turn, taking 3 actions and following those steps again, until the cart gets all the way around and you take one final turn here and it returns to the entrance. Now you may be wondering, what about these cards here? So when the cart moves off of one of the corners here and turns the corner, so just like this, then you'll flip over one of the event cards. And the event cards do various things. Some of them, like this one here, has you get rid of cards in the mine and then replace them. So, and you want to follow the exact orientation here. So this is top, bottom of the mine, top, bottom here. And so these 4 cards would be these ones here. And so those would get replaced. This one here, failed breaks, has you move your cart again. So it would jump ahead a second time. And let's see, we got rock slide. So these ones, you just take those 4 cards, shuffle them, and then redistribute them. And when you shuffle them, you also rotate them blindly. So keep that in mind. Cave in is similar. It's these 4 cards here. And then sinkhole is on the bottom right here. And yeah, so there's different ways of those cards. And there's also one, which will likely be one of these here, that makes you put your gnome back at the entrance and you only get 2 actions that turn. So there are some detrimental cards there. But a way to get ahead is to use some of your special actions. So these are pretty straightforward. The emergency brakes lets you not move your cart this turn. So you'll skip the 3rd step of your turn, to move your cart step. And this other one here lets you take 2 extra actions this turn. And this last one here says swap your card, the card that your gnome is on, with the card adjacent to your cart, and your gnome rides that card. So if my card was over here and I decided to swap this one with this one, this card with my gnome would go to this space and this one over here. Again, keeping the orientation of the cards. All right, and so we are ready to start the game. And I do like that option that I saw earlier where I move this card into the spot by taking the swap action. Again, I'm swapping because of a campfire. I don't have to be there. That's the option you get for choosing the campfire action. Because next turn, I'm going to have this set up where I'm going to take 3 cards at once. You see, they're all connected here. I'll get all 3 of them. So with that first action being done, I have to decide, like, what do I want to do for my other actions? I think what I'm going to do is just move 2 spaces. So 1 and 2, so that's 2 move actions, and that completes my turn. And so now we read the sign. There's no sign on this card, so I move on to moving my cart. Cart moves here. And then we refill the mine, but no cards have been taken. And so we go on to the next turn, and I can take actions now. Now, again, one of your actions is load your cart. And right now, I'm doing okay with the fact that there is a load your cart sign right here. So maybe I don't even need to spend that action. But what I do want to do is try and set up the next turn. And so I think I will swap these 2 cards. Again, my gnome rides it. And then move 1 space here to get onto this card, and then rotate this card. So that'll be my 3rd action there. And so with that done, we now read the sign, and the sign says load your cart, and one of the resources can be wild, but we don't need that. But we load it with these 3 cards. So I've gained 3. That's 10% of the way done. And then we go on to move your card, so it moves along here. And now we refill the mine. So we're going to draw, and it's, again, left to right, top to bottom. So these will fill in here. And not that great of card selection, I don't think. And so once again, I have my 3 actions here. So I think what I want to do is move here and then swap this card with this one here, my gnome riding on it. And then I think I will use the lunchtime, and I'll take 2 extra actions this turn. So I will move 2 spaces here, getting onto this spot here, because now I have the sign, and I want to read the sign now at this point. And so it'll load my cart, but one of the cards can be wild. So we'll consider this one wild here, matching along with all these golds. So I actually get 4 golds with this load up here. And so these cards go away. Then the cart gets moved, and then I add 4 cards here. All right, so for my first action this turn, I'm going to move or swap here, and then I'll swap down this way. I think that's the right way. And then I will move 1 space here. So that was my 3 actions, 2 swaps and a move. And now I get to check for a sign. There's no sign. And so now we move the cart, and the cart went over an event space, and so we'll see what it is. And it is carbon monoxide. Return to the entrance, -1 action this turn. Oh, I really didn't want to see that one. Not this early, but here we go. I go back to the entrance, and then we refill the mine, but nothing needs to be filled. All right, so I have 2 actions this turn. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I definitely want to land on one of these signs here. I'm just not sure which one. But maybe I will go with this one here. And that'll be my first action. And my second action is to load. See, my cart is in front of this resource here, and I can go ahead and load it. So there's only 2 of them, but it's better than nothing. And I get that done. So I think I'm up to 9 cards now. And now I read the sign. The sign says to rotate 2 adjacent. So I can rotate this one here, and then I'll rotate this one here. And by doing that, I will have set up a resource track here. So when the cart finally gets around to this side, I will be able to pull those 3 cards. So I'm just trying to set myself up ahead of time as I make my way back towards the cart here to try and set up other resources. And so now we move the cart, and then we're going to draw 2 new cards to the mine. Let's see what we get. And so I have my 3 actions, and I think I will go 1, 2, and I'll stay here because of this sign, the jump to camp or corner. And then I will do a load action. It's only 1 because this gemstone here connects to the card. So I get 1 card. It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing, I think. And then we're going to read the sign. So I jump to a corner, and I think I want to jump to this corner here. And then we move the cart, and we'll refill the mine, just 1 card here. All right, so for our next round here, I think I want to rotate this one. And then I'll move over here and then rotate this one, and that'll be my actions for the turn. And there's no sign to read, so this just moves forward and nothing to fill here. I'm going to do the same thing here, so move, rotate, and then I guess move again, and I can't rotate this one. Now the reason why I'm not loading right away is because I'm going to use my emergency brakes, and it says do not have your cart move this turn. I think that's a good choice because it gives me a chance to clear all these 4 cards before whatever event happens here. And so again, there's no sign, we don't move the card because of the special action, and we don't refill the mine because there's nothing to fill. And so now I can rotate this card, and then I can't help but wonder if I should move here and then swap here. I know I had rotated that earlier, but I'm gonna try that because it has load your cart. So I'm going to get that free action, and maybe this will set me up for something later. And so now we get to read the sign, load the cart, and I get 4. That is really good. Then we move the cart here, and let's see what the event says. And the event says rock slide. So it's going to take these ones here, shuffle them up, and then redistribute them. So we'll take my gnome off there. Again, when you're shuffling, you're going to want to rotate them and kind of shuffle them around. And then you just redistribute them top to bottom here. And of course, it took that one load your cart and put it back at the top there. And then we'll reload the mine here, or refill the mine. All right, so for my next turn, I'm not sure if this is the right way to do it, but I'm gonna move here, and I'm gonna use teleportation. So swap your card with the card adjacent to the cart. So my gnome goes with it. So I'll move it over here. Now that teleportation did not cost anything. So I have 2 actions left, and I think I'm just going to do a load action. So I'll load this card, and then I will move, I think, to here. And I'm really not sure if that's the right call here. I'm not very good at this game, by the way. I score really low. I score in like the low 20s all the time. But now we read a sign. There's no sign. We move the cart, and we refill the mine. And so there we go. Interesting how that ended up lining up here. So if I just leave it as it is, I can load up these 4 cards with this action here the next turn. So maybe I should just leave it like that and then move this over here and rotate this card. So that was 2 moves and a rotate. I'm thinking that might be the best bet because I will get 4 cards here, and then I can get 4 cards here when the cart gets here. And maybe I can do something with the cards that show up here. So that's going to be my call. Then we will move again. Nothing to refill here. Back to my turn. So the question is, what do I want to do in the meantime? I almost feel like I just want to move and then let my turn end and use the sign that says load your cart for one to be a wild. This will be the wild here, the gold. So we have the gemstones moving along this track. It's going to load up 4. And that's going to be really good for me. I think we're at least past 20 at this point. And we're going to draw 4 more cards for the mine. Let's see if it does something good here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, that was really good actually. Because right now I can just load up these 3 cards. This gold vein here goes straight to the cart. So that works out really well. So I load up all 3 of them. And then what do I do with the rest? I have 2 more actions. Maybe I'll move here and then here. And so now we read the sign and it says rotate to adjacent. And so I think the only card I want to rotate is this one. Because if I rotate that one and then swap this card later with this one, then I'll have 2 heading straight towards the cart. All right, so now the cart moves along one space and we'll draw the event here. And it's carbon monoxide again. Wow, that's not good. Moving back to the entrance. And then we'll draw 3 new cards into the mine. And so I have only 2 actions. So there's 2 things I'm going to do. First, I'll rotate this card like so. And then I will move 1 space over into this space here so I can do load your card. It'll only load 1 card. It could push me over 30, I doubt it, but that was worth it. And so now we move the cart, and then we're going to refill the mine here. See what we get. Nothing good set up here, but I can load the cart here for these 2. The gemstones run across this path here, and we have 1 in here. So that's 2 cards. So I think I will do the load action on my own because I'm going to move off the sign here and go 1, 2, and then that's it because I did the load action in 2 moves. So that ends my turn. There is a sign here that says jump to camp or corner. I don't want to do that, so I can skip that. And so we move the cart 1 space, drawing more cards. Nothing particularly great, but I think it's going to work out in the end. We'll see here, because what I want to do at this point is swap this here. So now I've lined up these two here. And so I think I will move here, and then I'm going to use the campfire action to rotate one of these cards, and I'll rotate this one this way. All right, so now we read the sign and it says load the card. Well, yes, I will load these two here. That'll be great. And then we will move the cart and draw two more cards here. And let's see what we get. Not exactly what I wanted, but I have a plan here. See, these are two campfire cards here. I think I can get them into this position, and then we'll read the sign to load the cart. So first of all, we'll do a campfire swap here, and then we'll do a campfire swap here, and then a campfire rotate right here, just like that. Look at that. Lined up 4 gemstones here. And so now we end the turn because that was 3 actions, and it's load your cart. So that works out well for me. We're going to load up all 4 of these, and that will be the final load of the game. And so now we get to count these here and see what we get. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Oh, just made it. 31. 31 points. And so you'll find here that it says that you count your resources and consult the chart below to see your final rank. So you have to make a minimum of 30 to win. And I had 31, but that was the lowest rank ever. So the highest rank being 39. And so once again, there are other chapters. You have the gobbling goblin. You have that one where the goblin is trying to thwart your efforts, and it has you flipping over cards and that sort of thing. It talks to you about the automa here. But again, you have to make it through the game without being gobbled by the goblin and have enough cards. So that might be a little bit more difficult. And then furthermore, we have the chapter 3 here, where you not only have the goblin, but you also have the gnome trying to thwart your plans, and you have to make it to the exit and be alive, not gobbled by the goblin, and have at least 25 cards. So it gets a little challenging, but definitely a very interesting game. And so there you have it. That was my tutorial and solo playthrough of Mind Your Business. I will have links to this particular game. I believe it's available on Amazon right now, so I will link to that. And I'll also have a link to their current Kickstarter, which is a bunch of other small box games that you might be interested in. Again, I'm interested in the one called Defrag, so I may be checking that one out. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments below. Please also like and subscribe to this channel if you like the content you see here. And if you'd like to support me on Patreon, I have a link in the description. And I thank everyone who has supported me thus far. And I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One. Have a great night.